I'm sitting here, I'm on the forums, hanging out, relaxing, about to hop off my computer for the night, and I read this post right here by Devon82. Supreme post, in my opinion, and here's why. So, Devon's talking about the enemy levels, and he says, from what I've read and been told about the enemy levels in Breakpoint, it really won't affect rather or not take more rounds to kill them. It really won't affect rather or not it takes more rounds to kill them. But it's more to show off their difficulty skill level, which, yeah, that's what basically we've been hearing, and what it's not super confirmed, but that's what it feels like, because there's no bullet sponge for if you're 20 levels above you, the guy still dies. In one of my other videos, I was talking about how these levels are kind of like a built-in tier mode. So rather than it being like a guy is 30 levels above you, so he's 10 times harder to kill, it's really he's 30 levels above you. He's that much more likely to shoot you like one shot, like when you are leveling in tier mode. And that's how the ranking system is going to work. So he says one guy posted an example of how a higher level sniper will headshot the player. That's all fine and good, but if the idea behind the enemy levels is to communicate to the player the enemy skill level, couldn't we use sort of a military ranking system? Like, this is what I was talking about in my last video when I said, if you guys are going to come to the forums and you're going to say, this system doesn't make sense, Ubisoft, I don't know why you implemented it, but since it's already implemented, wouldn't it be better this way? You see, this is how you explain to the developers, and maybe the community manager can see it, bring it over to the development team. Not like it's going to get changed, but these are ideas that spark interests in the next iteration of games. We might not get it for this game, guys. It is what it is. Maybe a DLC day one, the first one, the second one, the third one, like, you don't know, or the next game, who knows? But this is a good idea here. The aforementioned sniper, for example, could be a lieutenant instead of a level 50, that's cool. While the average sniper is just a marksman instead of a level 20. So we're dealing with a ranking system, not just numbers. The game would feel more immersive if the players call outs were something like, I spotted a captain entering the compound accompanied by a sergeant. There's 3 privates patrolling the perimeter, and watch for the marksmen in the towers. One looks like a lieutenant. As opposed to, I've spotted a level 60, so on and so forth. Now, this kid is disagreeing down here. This guy's talking about damage. And here, look, he got a feedback from community manager. I don't know that in-game dialogue referred to enemy levels, which that's not what the kid was saying. He was talking about as players. That's what we would be saying. In Wildlands, it was a similar system to the one you suggest, with the callouts being somewhat dependent on context, or referring to everything as a small group of tangos. We're not so much talking about the AI, our characters saying that. We're talking about us. At least that's what I thought he was talking about, but I'm talking about us. When I'm rolling out with 3 other guys, like, yo, marksman, northeast corner, call him out, or lieutenant, or, private. Now, there are things, Ubisoft could use any ranking system they want, but I thought that to show something like this, like the low-level guys walking around, then you have sergeant. This is just a normal, like, army. Imagine walking out and about and you come across a camp and it's just filled with, like, warrant officers or a lot of lieutenants, and there's some generals in there, like, yo. Now, I'm not saying you have to use this exactly, but a system that represents that, rather than, okay, this land is a bunch of level 20s, but I go all the way over here and it's a bunch of level 50s. Oh, these guys must be tough. It could be something that showcases a better ranking system than just numbers, which people are upset about. And these are the types of things that I wish Ubisoft would recognize. You could have had this same system if you just would have thought of an idea. Like, I don't understand how they can create these awesome games, but the simplest ideas like this. Like, hey guys, can we represent higher levels with icons rather than numbers? And let the players throughout the game learn about these icons. Like, they don't have to be legit army ones like this. But even in Wildlands, like there were lieutenants, you know, there were heavies, and they had different little icons over their heads. I think they should have done the same thing here. Now, there are different icons in this game, but it looks like predator markings. They look like they're like predator markings. And, you know, how cool would it be if you saw something, you know, like this? How cool would something like this be? You know, where you know this guy is, you know, heavy duty, this guy's a private, you know, and you could distinguish between these guys running at you like that. Like, I think that would be something awesome. I think this kid was onto something with this. And this is the type of stuff I love coming to the forums and reading, because I don't know, I think it gets the point across. You get an answer from a community manager, so you know they're not just overlooking it. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say for this video. Guys, what kind of ideas would you like to see for a ranking system for enemies? Do you think just putting arbitrary numbers, yeah, I guess they're not arbitrary, they do represent harder or less hard, but we don't really know the difficulty level that's coming with each one. Is it where they kill you quicker? Do they take more damage? Is it kind of like a Division? You know, that's not what we've been seeing, but you don't know what can get thrown at us. Remember, we've only seen some E3 footage and people who played the technical test. That's all. From what we see, you know, it is what it is, but who knows? You get in game and you go to a land that's guys are 50 levels higher than you and they're just killing you like that. So let me know what you guys think about this, what Devon82 was talking about. Shout out to Devon82. That's I think it was a good idea. And yeah, that's all for this video, guys. I will see you in the next one. Peace.